Hi everyone, Joe here from Comandante. Let's take a look at how to clean your X25 Trailmaster grinder. Let's get started. First, remove the plot lid and attach the crank to your grinder. Next, you want to remove the grounds catcher so that we can get to the burr cone. If you haven't cleaned your grinder in a while, you may have a build-up of coffee grounds around the burr ring holder, and you can loosen those by giving your grinder a firm tap on a surface like a table. Next, we're going to take out the burr cone by unscrewing the clicker, turning anti-clockwise all the way until it comes off. So you can either do this by turning the clicker anti-clockwise as normal with this hand, or if you hold the clicker with this hand, be careful not to touch the edge of the burr because it's very sharp. You can hold the clicker with this hand and turn the crank. That way it's a super fast method to remove the clicker from the axle and the burr cone from the grinder. If you do this above a table or a tray, you'll make sure not to lose any of the parts. So we've removed the clicker, and if I cover this part of the grinder with my hand, I can simply catch the burr cone and the spring and the bottom washer in that hand. Next, we're going to remove the axle again and remove the crank again and remove the axle from the top of the grinder. Here you want to be careful to keep an eye on the top washer. So again, you can turn it out onto your hand and push the axle through from the bottom with your other finger. Now I have the washer and the axle outside of the grinder, and we're ready to clean the inside of the grinder and the other parts. You can clean all of these parts with compressed air, but what we recommend for regular cleaning is to just get hold of some brushes. So we have our wonderful number 4 brush, which is great for cleaning individual parts and the burr exit. Or you can also get hold of something like a bottle brush or a long paintbrush, which are ideal for cleaning inside the grinder body and cleaning the outer burr ring. So, cleaning inside the grinder body, you can do by going on all 3 sides of the internal chassis. If you can reach down to the burr ring, you get everything done in one go. You can also go from the other side to focus on the burr ring. And with a long brush like this, you can clean around the burr ring holder where the grounds catcher attaches. To clean the grounds catcher, actually you can simply just rinse it with water, put it in the dishwasher. Just make sure that it's dry before you reassemble the grinder. To clean the individual parts, really we want to focus mainly on the burr cone and the clicker. So remove the spring from the burr cone. That way you can clean behind where the spring sits. Then we can brush all 7 sides of the burr cone clean using something like the number 4 brush. Now, make sure to clean the 12 grooves on the bottom of the cone, as well as the 3 ball bearings on the top of the clicker. If both those parts are clean, you'll make sure that the click action when you're setting your grind is nice and smooth and locks into place with no problems. You can return the spring to the cone once those are clean. And if you need to clean the axle or the washers, you can of course do that as well. Once everything's cleaned, we can simply reassemble the grinder in the reverse order of what we did before. So, let's start with the top washer. What's important to note with the washers is that they have one side with a raised edge and one side which is completely flat. The flat edge should always be looking up at you out of the grinder. The raised edge is in contact with the yellow ball bearing. So, insert the top washer first, and then insert the axle. Now, I can attach the crank to the top of the grinder, and then move on to the bottom washer. Again, I want to see the top of the flat side of the washer facing up at me. Now I'm going to return the burr cone to the axle. To attach the clicker to the axle, you simply want to use it to push down onto the burr cone and screw the clicker onto the axle. Now it's attached again, and I can simply go back to click 0 and reset my grind how I want it. Reattach your clean grounds catcher, and your grinder is ready for the next adventure. One more thing. Of course, if your grinder's super dirty or it drops in a puddle, gets muddy, something like that, you can follow the disassembly steps to give everything a rinse with water. Our QTP material has no problem with water, and all of the metal parts are stainless steel. But if you do need to rinse the inside of the grinder or the outside of the grinder with water, then we definitely recommend you leave everything to dry in a warm, dry place before you put everything back together again and use your grinder. All right, now you're set. Get out there and brew some coffee.